It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey folks, today we are taking a look at 7s. This little card game is a fairly straightforward, or at least its foundation is. It's a suited card game, and you are trying to basically have the most points in hand when the end of the game is triggered. Of course, on top of that, then, each of those suits I mentioned has a power, something it itself can do and none of the other suits do. Let me show you what I mean, and then I'll tell you if I think it's a good one. Here we go. The objective of the game is to have the most victory points when the game is over, and to set up the game, we're going to shuffle up the deck, give each player 3 cards here. We're going to also give each player a little cheat sheet, and we are going to flip over 1 card to begin the first column in the game. There are 7 different types of cards, so there's going to be 7 columns created throughout the game, and once a column hits a certain number of cards, then the game is over and we count up victory points. On your turn, very simply, you're going to play a card and then you are going to draw a card. That's it. And each card tells you some power it has. So I'm going to take a look at my hand here, and I am going to play, let's say, one of the Holy Virtues cards, the 2 purple, indigo rather. And this one, just like all the other Holy Virtues, says across the bottom, draw 1 card and play 1 card. Fine. And so since there is no Holy Virtues column here, I've started it with that. I am going to draw a card as it said, and I am going to play a card. I'm going to play this one, which is the C's, and this one says move a card from the top of a column to your hand. Very well. I'm going to play that there, and I'm going to steal this Wonders card into my hand. I would now draw up to 3, but I already have 3. That's my round. So as you can see, lots of card manipulation. Some will let you look at your opponent's hands, stack the top of the deck, things like that. I'm going to show you each of the different suits and tell you what they do in just a minute. But basically, again, we're going to continue until the game's over, and at that point we figure out who the winner is. You are going to score points for every card that's in your hand, except for the values that have been canceled by one of the specific suits, the Ages of Man suit. So let's see if we can find one here. Very simply, what this does is, once you play the first one, then it cancels the highest value card possible. So if there's 1 card in this stack at the end of the game, all the 7s are worthless. If there are 2 cards here, then the 7s and the 6s in hand are worthless, and so on. So, if there were none of these, and this is my hand of cards, then I have the 20 points that this would give me, plus some other scoring. I'll tell you about it in 1 second. However, if I have this is out there in the middle of the game, and this is my hand, then I have 6 points. So, something to definitely watch out for. So that's one of the things you score. Besides that, some of the cards, that is the Lucky Gods, and let's see if we can find one of them. This one says that you choose a number or color. You look at the top card of the deck and see if it matches, and if it does, then you place it in front of you face up for final scoring. At the end of the game, each one of those, if you hit on this, is 2 victory points. So you would add that to the score you got from the cards in your hand. And then there's also some other scoring with some wild cards, but that's basically it. So, lots of little powers. Let's get to those now. Let me show you how they interact with one another. So here are all the possible cards you'll encounter, as well as, of course, 7 different colors and 7 different numbers. So here we have the Ages of Man card. This one lets you place that card into the Ages of Man column to disable the current highest value. As I showed you, it would cancel that value from scoring at the end of the game if it's in your hand. But you can also place it on any other column and advance the end of the game without any other effect. That is, if a column has the cards required to trigger the end of the game, then this will count as one of those cards. So 2 things there. The colors here let you set the wild color, and at the end of the game, the current wild color will be the highest point value. So what does that mean? Well, 2 things. Setting the wild color means that you can play cards of that color into any column, and the wild color equaling the highest point value means that any card of the current wild color, meaning the last card played into that column, will score the maximum allowed by the Ages of Man card. So let's say there was only 1 Ages of Man card played. Any card you have of orange, if this was the case, is worth 6 points, no matter what the actual value on the card is. Here we have Deadly Sins. This one lets you pick an opponent, discard a random card from their hand, put it on the table in the appropriate place, then they draw a card. Just a good old take that kind of card. Here we have Holy Virtue. I showed you this one earlier. Draw a card, play a card. Lucky Gods. Again, you try to hit on the top card of the deck, and if you do so, well, you get 2 victory points for your trouble. Of course, sometimes you can stack the deck to your advantage, especially with fewer players. The Seas let you move a card from the top of a column to your hand. I showed you that a little bit earlier as well. And then over here we have the Wonders. And the Wonders let you look at the top 3 cards of the deck, the 3 cards from your opponent's hands, whatever combination you want, and you can rearrange the deck. Good way to hit on those lucky gods, especially in a game with fewer players, like I said. And that's basically it. So there you have it. Those are all the different cards in the game. Continue playing until the game's over, and most victory points is the winner of 7-7s. Right off the bat, I will say I really like the artwork in this game. There's not a lot of it, really. It's just the 7 different suits have their own illustration, but they're really well done, and I love the look of the game, the quality of the production of the game. Cards are wonderful, so I'm very happy with that. I also really like that it feels like a bit of a traditional game with then modernized powers and things like that, and a little bit of take that, a little bit of deck manipulation, a little bit of taking more turns than your opponents. You can rush the end of the game, things like that. I like that, and I will say it took a little bit of warming up for me to start enjoying this one. I played it a couple of times and I still wasn't sure I was liking it, but I do like it, and I did enjoy it, and I still do enjoy it. I think what it was is that I was coming at it, and this is a bit of a complaint I have with the game. It's the kind of game that could have an audience of really introductory gamers, of people that are not into heavy gaming but want to play a straightforward card game. I think for that crowd, there might be too many powers. It's too much, going on, okay? And so I play this, and then I draw, and then I play again, and now I take a card, and then I move it to this pile, and now I look at the top of the deck, and now I look at your hand. It's too many of those little things for people who are into just traditional card games. And then I think for gamers, it's some silly take-that-ish card game. And so I think that's what the issue was, that I was having, was that it's a game in search of an audience a little bit. Now, I am in that audience. I enjoy the game, but I think it was bothering me a little bit in the back of my mind that it was a simple card play style with a lot of little powers, Certainly not the worst culprit out there of that type of thing, but it does do it a little bit. So be aware of that. If you enjoy your fillers and you don't mind if they have a couple of complications to them, then by all means, go check this game out. I think you're going to dig it. But if you want something more straightforward or something meatier, then clearly this is not going to give it to you, okay? Having said all that, I don't want to sound like I'm giving this game a negative review, because I'm not. I am giving this one a positive review. I do enjoy it, and I would recommend it to people like me who enjoy quirky card games, enjoy games that are just clever and bring something new and original to the table, and allow you to find your own combos sometimes, as subtle as they might be. they're in here. There's not a ton of them, but they're in here. So if you enjoy that discovery as well, I think you're going to like this one. So there you have it, 7s.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.